um, interruption there. I did delete the scheduled live tonight because of the fact that there were a change of plans. Laura Eisenhower couldn't make it, and I also forgot that when I have somebody on my channel using Restream, it doesn't really it doesn't align well with webcam when I normally, schedule my live. So I just wanted to let everybody know that there's been a change of plans. I'm just waiting for James Rink to have on. James is the author of The Lone Wolf, where he reveals a lot of stuff that has been going on in secret. He's a super soldier and has a lot of knowledge about all kinds of interesting things. I want to see if I'm live, but I also want to see where the chat is. One second, guys. As you guys know, technology is not my thing. Let's see. Settings. Invite guests. Disable, mute. No, we don't want that. Private chat. All right, let's see. Where is the chat? I want to see if there is a chat. Oh, there it is. Awesome. So I do have people. All right. So as you guys know, there's been a change of plans. Instead of having Laura Eisenhower, I have a super soldier, James Rink, who is going to join me tonight. Unfortunately, Laura wasn't feeling that well, but she is still willing to come on my show when she feels a lot better, of course. So I'm going to go ahead and invite James Rink at this time. Hey, James, how's it going? Oh, wait, I can't hear you. Are you there? Fix your volume.
Yes.
Oh, there we go. I could hear you. I just had to unmute you. Yeah, this is my third or fourth time using Restream. I don't know if you know, brother, but me and technology don't get along. Perhaps, there is a deeper meaning behind that. But overall, I'm not that tech savvy, so I'm still trying to figure things out. How you doing, James?
I'm doing excellent. Yeah, so lots going on and some really seeing everything. I like to say everything seems positive, but I feel like we're about to hit a huge transition period this next upcoming year. But if I tell you how it ends, it would ruin the show. So,
hey, wasn't that the phrase taken from Avengers Endgame? When did you? Oh, you didn't watch it, huh? Well, I guess the Avengers only had one opportunity, one out of a million. Out of a million ones, they had one slot to win the war against Thanos. And at the end, where there was a huge fight against Thanos and his army, and the Guardians of the Galaxy, the Avengers, and all the good people of other parts of the galaxy who joined in the battle. In the end, not in the end, but during that battle, Tony Stark, who is Iron Man, asked the Wizard Man, Doctor Strange. He says, "So do we win that war?" And Doctor Strange says, "If I reveal it to you, it won't happen." So that's why I said he took that phrase.
Yeah. Well, even if you remote view the future, it ends up changing. So, but basically, my sources are telling me we might see some kind of first contact event going into April. Yeah, is this going on YouTube? Am I allowed to?
Yeah, of course. Just
okay, I'll be careful what I say. So,
yeah,
but
thank you.
You'll find out soon enough. But so the name of my channel is Super Soldier Talk. I recommend you go onto Rumble because I've had 12 strikes already on YouTube. Amazingly, yeah. I tell you what, I have a couple channels. So when I get a strike, I go to a backup channel. So that's the key, Ismael. If you get a strike, you have to go onto the backup channel. That's what Journey to Truth did wrong. Because I told Tyler not to use that channel anymore, and he didn't listen to me. So he lost his channel. Journey to Truth is no longer on YouTube. Well, actually, they finally did get their backup. Yeah. But please go to Rumble, Super Soldier Talk on Rumble, because the last video I just had deleted. Oh, I can't even tell you what was in it, because then you'll get this one deleted. But it's one I did. It's actually my first interview I did in person with Susan Martin. That was back in, I think that was in 2012. So, but I was doing interviews before even then. I started in 2010.
Just really quick introduction for those that don't know who James Rink is. He is the author of Lone Wolf, and he's also a super soldier that has been revealing a lot of interplanetary and off-world information for many, many years. I had an opportunity to speak with him and speak on the AI panel as well as on the super soldier panel. I believe was last September at the Alien event in Vegas. So yeah, he's a very interesting guy. He's very knowledgeable, And that's who he is, guys. James Rink, Lone Wolf, the author of Lone Wolf, super soldier. So yeah, let's go ahead and speak in code. I don't want to get any strikes or anything, James. So thank you for making sure that we were on fluff too.
I so much want to tell you why those videos were deleted, but then you'll have your video deleted too. So yeah,
Right.
Rumble. Okay. My website is supersoldiertalk.com, but you can go there, get a copy of the book. I go into the different planetary corporations, and then I have some of my own experiences. I have like artwork in here, drawings. So I talk about like Montauk. I go into Nachtwaffen, and here's reptilians. So yeah, I think you would enjoy this. Well, I know Ismael, you already have a copy, but hopefully read it. If you haven't, it's okay. It's all right. I know you're busy, but
I actually had an opportunity to share some of these interplanetary corporations that have been working with off-world entities and have been working in pocket realities and from behind the scenes and stuff, kept away from the general public on my YouTube about 3 months ago. And I did, let everyone know that I got that information from your book. So I was able to, give you the credit, of course, James. But man, one of these groups that really that I want you to go more deeper in, because as you know, I'm still trying to retrieve some of my memories from these off-world super soldier programs. And by the way, it was in your book that I saw for the first time that these programs were not just, involving interplanetary secret societies from this world, but also involving extraterrestrials and other programs from other worlds as well. I didn't know that until I read your book. And then that's when I said, okay, well, that makes a lot of sense. But the whole point is there is this group that really stood out. And I want you to go over like the history, how they began and where they're at today. And that was the cyber life that colonized Mars back in the 14 or 1500s, you said, right?
Yeah, I'm going to go pull up that lecture.
Okay.
Cyber life.
Cyber life. Yeah, cyber life was very interesting because I've been telling the Galactic Jedis that we kind of been at war with negative AI for not just recently, but for billions of years. Involving other worlds, other universes. Just recently, the last few days, I did a presentation connecting the dots between the AI God, the Animus, as revealed by Dr. Jemison Maruda. The Ahriman Archon energy as revealed by Rudolf Steiner in Theosophy and Anthroposophy avenues, and then putting it all together with what the book of Revelation talked about, the coming of the Antichrist being super artificial intelligence. So I kind of I just did a live putting it all together for the Galactic Jedis, but cyber life. That was, I don't know if they are, but apparently, according to your book, they were benevolent, right? Or were they malevolent?
Well, they're for themselves. I mean, I guess, if your interests are mutually aligned, maybe it's benevolent, but typically I would say probably not. Yeah, if you were Kara Sandman, then well, anyway, but am I allowed to share my screen? Can I do it?
How do you do that? Let's see.
So has anyone tried it yet? Okay, because I think this is how. Oh wait, this is not it.
Share screen.
Oh, okay. There we go. Just pull that in. You see it? The pop up.
Yeah, I see it. All right, let's pull it in.
Okay, so Paradise Mars. I just had it too. Okay, so this was basically a description of the history of Mars, and according to ACIO records, Mars was a tropical world as of the year 1900. So anyway, let's go back here. So from our future, from cyber life, and I didn't put it in here. I just had the slide too, guys. Let's go to this other slide first. Let's go to cyber life, and then we'll go there. So I have all my programs here. We've got the skyline. Okay, let's go to cyber life. Okay, so Cyberlife was featured in the video game Detroit Become Human. It was about creating androids that look just like people, except they don't need food, they don't poo, and they don't require temperature-controlled environments. So typically, for example, let me give you an example. I had wrote a letter to President Trump at the time, and then well, I still think he is, but the letter was snuck into the campaign manager of one of those states in the Midwest. It might be in Iowa. I don't remember Missouri, but so it went to his desk, and I'm pretty sure he read my letter. So my letter basically stated is that we were trying to open up lines of communications between the ACIO, which is the Advanced Contact Intelligence Organization based in Pine Gap, Australia, also Area 51. So what ACIO was doing is they were going into pocket or alternate realities and grabbing technology, advanced technology, and bringing it back here. So they had free energy and all this, anyway, it's a long story, but essentially, according to ACIO, they decoded the letter that I got back from the president or whoever. It was decoded to be a message about how Detroit is being taken over by CyberLife. So I know it is a video game, but the facility exists underground where they're mostly they look like humans, but they're typically involved in the drug deals, handling the money. So those are the cyborgs. And so the administration is very concerned about what's going on with Detroit. So
Man.
Yeah, you have a question?
No, I'm just like amazed at all of this information.
Okay. All right. So now let's go ahead and read this. So CyberLife, they were from our future, I think about the year 2400, but they have feelings and a soul, but it's not like a human soul. They sent themselves back in time from our future to Mars in the 1450s and settled it. So they've also sent androids back in time to our present day to a facility under Detroit, which according to ACIO, 33% of the population of Detroit are these cyborgs.
What?
So the
Crazy.
CyberLife is run by the android Kara Sandman.
I was kind of not blown away, but it obviously made a lot of sense that some of these representatives of these pocket organizations or hidden organizations are celebrities. It's crazy.
Yeah, I just did a show this afternoon with John Whitberg. We were going over all these celebrities, like Kevin Spacey is the clone of Paul Serene, the head of Monarch Solutions, and we also have Tom Cruise, who is Richard Bay for Umbrella Corporation, and according to John Whitberg, he thinks it was Gabriel Kruger, part of Kruger Mercenary Corps. But yeah, certainly, we could go on like the actor. It's a long story. Let's go on here.
Yeah,
all right, so let's go to 44 now.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So Mars was sent. They were sent back to time to 1450, and then there was a cobalt bomb. Okay, guys, let me explain what happened. So the Germans made a deal with the tall whites back in the 1850s, and they made a deal to access this portal technology that exists in these underground facilities that have been around since the time of Atlantis. So some of these portals were going to, for example, different parts of Mars. Also, one would take you to the moon, or you could go to the planet Vulcan. So Vulcan is featured in the Star Trek series. So I had Jimmy Payne come on my show, and he said he was on Enterprise, and he said that the Enterprise flew over Phoenix and the Phoenix Lights in 1998. So if you look at the drawings, you can see kind of the edge of the ship, the saucer anyway. But it had 4 engines. But so planet Vulcan is inside our sun, and it's cloaked. It's from our visual perception. But it is real. And Vulcans are like an elven race, but they're about 4 feet tall. So Spock was actually a lot shorter than portrayed in the TV series. But anyway. And by the way, the Star Trek, hold on, I'm going to get it right. Star Trek 4, I think it was. That's when they were getting those whales. So that is actually a documentary. However, it wasn't whales they were getting. It was the Loch Ness Monster. So that's what's according to Jimmy Payne. Nessie was actually pregnant, and he didn't really quite explain to me how he got pregnant, because he got stuck in that lock, for millions of years or whatever. Anyway, long story. All right, so guys, the Germans were settling Mars in the 1850s, but there were already cyborgs settled there. So problems started to exist. So by around the year 1900, a cobalt bomb was detonated, destroying the environment. So by the time the Germans got a hold of flying platform technology, the anti-gravitic technology, they were able to go back to Mars again, and this time start settling again. But the environment was absolutely just really, really bad back in the 1940s. And anyway, so but then we have other whistleblowers who are saying, well, James, actually, the environment was pretty much beat up for much longer than that. So I think we're looking at that portal technology is taking people to alternate realities where there are banana trees on Mars, and the northern latitudes are a very mild, comfortable climate. But anyway, so there you guys have it. Cyber life.
Cyber life. So they come from the future, 200 years from now, and they time travel.
I really think it's more like 400. I don't know why it's not in here. Maybe I probably have it in my book.
So I wonder, Michael, I'm wondering if they are a group or the people that come from the future, the cyber life. I wonder if they were those that became part of the transhumanist timeline. Because remember, there is going to be a split between the ascension spiritual earth and the technocratic utopia or dystopia, as I call it, where people do go into the transhumanist cyborg timeline. So I guess what I'm saying is that I wonder if they were people that had become cyborgs, and they just time traveled back in time in the 1500s and decided to just colonize Mars, because of course we do know that in the 1500s there was no life on Mars, right? Even though there is evidence that life did exist there for a couple of million years ago, I believe.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. So planet Earth is somewhere resonating between third and fourth dimension density or whatever. So once you leave this sphere, the densities all change. So the question is, what we're actually looking at when we say we settled Mars, it's more of a higher density dimension. So not dimension, density. So ultimately, these people that might be having these experiences may not even been in this reality. For instance, I'll give you an example, Ismael. So we have Jean-Charles Moyen sharing his experiences of how great his time was with Solar Warden. Okay. Mm-hmm. But then we have other people who are sharing their experiences of Solar Warden where they're tortured and they were promised money and their memories were wiped. Well, actually, Solar Warden never really promised money, but other groups did. Mm-hmm. But ultimately, yeah. So maybe we're all looking kind of like through this multiverse thing. But
exactly, that's what I was getting at. Alternative timelines where like the Mandela effect, where different courses and directions took place. Or the direction of courses took place. That's what I'm saying. So yeah, you're right. And I do understand that due to where we are heading, as opposed to, how can I say? Are you there? Oh yeah, there you go. I just saw your screen blank out, but then I saw you.
It's interesting that does that. I use StreamYards and.
Oh yeah. Due to the this multiverse conversion that I've been kind of talking about for the last few months. Which is as a result of a cosmic cycle ending. It makes a lot of sense why the Mandela effect and, why history, there are just so many versions, not only of the Earth history, but even versions of the galactic history. There's the Alpha universe where the Lyrans were never destroyed by the Draco and they won the war, and then there's the Omega version where they were destroyed by the Draco. And then there's the Delta, the Sigma, and every version in between where like the events just change slightly different, So in this multiverse, James, what would you say, like how would, if you were to break down the concept of alternative Earths and pocket realities, like how can you break this down to, like, say, a 10-year-old?
Okay, well, you would just look at, essentially, we all are creator. In my opinion, we are all creator gods, and lowercase. So we all have the ability to manifest the reality that we want and desire. So we can, through our co-creative powers, manifest the reality through. Because basically, some say, well, there's we are, what is it, predestination, where you things are already planned for you, but ultimately, I feel like we can change things. And so that's why we have this whole multiverse kind of thing where everything's constantly changing. Now, here's the thing. So we have like certain people in the timeline that can change things more than others. So those folks are usually picked up, targeted for the secret space program, or if there is like a negative agenda, the targeting those people's lives. So, but yeah, ultimately, I believe there is some kind of force or entity kind of controlling the timelines. I mean, we have a group something called Time Corp. So that was featured in that Loki show. Remember, did anybody see Loki? I personally liked it. I thought it was great, but anyway, but yeah. So there are temporal agencies out there, and ultimately, I think the goal is for us to help manifest the most positive timeline, and we can do that. But of course, there is negative. I mean, we have negative AI that's sending itself back in time, and then we have issues with, like, say, they infect a race like the Draco and create problems. But yeah, I feel like we're having help from our future. So
Exactly.
what is time anyway? Think of time as like a wave. So you can what's been described to me is that you can compress the time, but we put a measurement on it. But if you don't put a measurement on time, then there anyway. I know from a quantum perspective, it's kind of hard to comprehend that. But just
Right.
wrap your mind around it. Anyway.
Yeah, and then the time corps, those that are ultimately, we could say, the guardians of time, the timelines and the time travel expeditions. I've come to understand that they're actually connected to the wind makers, the central race, which comes from the central universe, from, like, where everything came from, including, our universe. Obviously, our universe is one of many, but the original, realms of eternity. So I've come to understand that there's this group of the central race known as the Time Lords, and the Time Lords ultimately, what they do is they look into the 15-dimensional time matrix, right? They see all the different probabilities and possibilities, and what they do is, they kind of maneuver everything to go always, no matter in which direction or in which probability pops up or what happens, it always collapses back to the divine or the original divine timeline, and that's their job. So I wonder if Time Corp is either working with them or pretty much them expressing themselves in from a different perspective. You know what I mean? Like, what if they're one and the same, just expressing themselves from a different perspective? What if, because I've always believed that as we evolve, then we become like the central race, right? That's our destination, right? And then if you consider that they were the original race, even before the Lyrans, even before any universe was created, right? The original eternal race, right? The Batals, whatever you want to call them, the founders. What if they're also a portion of us that became Time Corps in the future, as the guardians of the multiverse, pretty much, making sure that, the positive timeline is always ahead of the dark side.
All right. I'd like to share a story about that.
All right, go ahead.
Yeah. So this was probably about maybe 12, 15 years ago. I got this memory of seeing myself in the future, and I'm in this white mansion. There's wall screens and there's robots, and yeah, my mom's name in that lifetime, her name was Vicky. And I looked like I was about 16, maybe 18 years old. So later on, I did some regression work to try to recover more memories on it. And the year was 2177, 79, something like that. And this was a planet in the Canis Major system. So it was in the breakaway. And so there's this mansion was like right near the downtown area, and there's spires in the sky, or skyscrapers and flying cars. And essentially, this was basically the story. So I was like the rich son of a billionaire type family in the breakaway. And in this particular parallel reality, planet Earth was destroyed in nuclear war. And that whole thing where humans converted into grays and all that, it just created, in the grays actually, humans actually became the grays in that negative timeline. So there was a group of archangels that they call themselves the Observers, and they are responsible for resetting the timeline. So they were featured, of course, in the Fringe TV show, and that a lot of that is basically a documentary. So these observers would reset the timeline till things got right. So they chose me because of some of the things I've accomplished in other lifetimes. I know I've talked about being the demigod Perseus. I'm not really, maybe I am, I don't know. So ultimately what happened is the observers, so I was brought into the program where my consciousness would be sent back in time. So I entered into this facility, and they had like this device that you would, first they'd explain what happens, where they would send a little bit portion of your soul back in time into a clone body, and that you won't feel anything or remember anything. And that, so ultimately that's when I showed up under Project Surrogate. So the reason why I'm telling you this story is because there are millions of people on this planet who are part of Project Surrogate, because on the other timeline, nuclear war happened on this planet. So many star seeds, light workers, we all showed up. We came here. And the reason why we came here, Ismael, is because the original human population was so beaten down by all this negative agendas for thousands and thousands of years, really since the fall of Atlantis, that there was just so much negativity and people couldn't really see through all that. So us light workers and starseeds, we came here to raise the planetary consciousness to be more than 50% positive. And that happened back in August of 2020 or 21. I think it was 21 actually. So now we're more than 50% positive. So once we get these more positive agendas, the agendas of the negative side that we saw, like the President Hillary Clinton, when she created her nuclear war and all that, we didn't have any of that, because the energy of the planet is raising frequency. And that's why those negative planetary corporations like Richard Bay of Umbrella, or also we have other groups too. Hold on, let's see, not Umbrella, Monarch Solutions. What they're doing is they're going back in time 20 years to try to reset things. So they're caught in a time loop. So anyway, that's my long story. I hope you enjoyed that.
Yeah, we also see the concept of the time loop in the first Doctor Strange, when he figures out how to defeat this like freaking demonic entity that looks like a cloud with electricity. And so because Doctor Strange mastered time, he's the keeper of the time stone. And so he says, the only way I want to defeat this character is if I just repeat me coming into the scene, him killing me, and then revive me again, and then come into the scene and just like create a non-ending loop over and over, where eventually after a few 100,000 years, he gets tired of doing that and he gives up and leaves planet Earth alone. And that's how he was able to get rid of him. I was like, okay, he was caught in this time loop as well. So that reminded me of that. It's funny that a lot of the Marvel movies are actually disclosing what's actually taking place in the private sector, and what has been for, I would say, even before the 1930s and 1850s and 1880s. I think that my personal opinion, James, and you could actually give your perspective on this as well, is that what if Earth was the original Earth, and all of the races, whether positive or negatives, are just broken away from Earth when Earth was falling in dimensions? Think about it. If everything originated in Lyra, right? If Lyra was the cradle of human civilization here in this universe, and if Earth, and this is something I was able to do in my book, is a reincarnating chunk of the original Lyran home planet Avion. Well, if all humans originated in the harmonic universe 4 system, dimensions 10, 11, and 12, and then dropped in densities, creating the Avions, the first physical humans, galactic humans, then what if all of the civilizations out there are just breakaway groups from planet Earth when Earth was still in other higher dimensions, and they're just all coming back now because this is what they call the zenith, the 0 point. You know what I mean? But anyways, that's just my own hypothesis.
Wow. Yeah, that's quite a question. So yeah, we know we have
civilizations have always existed,
So certainly we had the original Lyran Wars, and then we had these negative groups. I guess we could point blame on the Draco, the Sakaar, or whatever you want to call them. So and they were infected with black goo and AI. But the question is, which came first? There's even stories behind that where the custodian race was in war with the Draco, and the custodians made the AI. Then they infected Draco. Then the Draco weaponized against the custodians, and then and the custodians are supposedly they're 300 feet tall, and they live in inner Earth. So there's like different realms between those different we call the Titans. So as you go into, that's all part of the Tartarian aspect. But yeah, so initially, the original timeline showed basically it was a stalemate. The original Liar Wars, nobody won, and so what happened is I know I've had interviewed a few people that said, well, at least one person said he went back in time and he was part of a project to to change the timeline so the Draco would win. So that's why we're basically stuck over here, because from our future was sent back in time anyway. But so the question is, which one is the optimum best timeline? And I would say God has a way to try to find what it wants to make the most positivity. So planet Earth was just a colony from one of those Lyran breakaway colonies. Well, once Lyra was destroyed, the survivors came to planet Earth. Wow. And my understanding, we were like in this dimensional pocket reality where they couldn't find us. And then when they eventually did, then they showed up. We had Atlantis, and then all the dimensional veil came down, the floods and all that. So does that sound like something that you've been told, Ismael?
It does. It's very similar. I was told that Earth was existed in five different versions of herself, from the first harmonic universe dimensions 1, 2, and 3, all the way to the fifth harmonic universe dimensions 10, 11, 13, 14, and 15. And that those were known as the five Earths, and they came into existence right around the same time. And from a Lyran perspective, Earth was seated in the 8th dimensional planet Avion, which was the 8th dimensional version of Earth here in the first harmonic universe, dimensions 1, 2, and 3. This was known as Ur. And this was a planet that was like really condensed to the point where it became very physical. But I was also informed that the original human race came into existence simultaneously on all three Earths in the physical plane. I guess beyond the third harmonic universe, as we go into dimensions 10, 11, and 12, it's pre-material liquid light. There is no matter. Matter only exists from dimensions 1 to 9, from what I can understand. So the Earth, the original humans, were the 12-strand DNA Terranusian race that corresponded and came into and popped into reality on all three harmonic universes. Earth from the 8th dimension to the 5th to the to the 3rd dimension. That's from what I understand. And so there's always been civilizations here on this planet in the 3rd dimension, corresponding with the higher versions of the Earth, which are civilizations from higher dimensional versions of the Earth, from what I've come to understand.
Oh wow! And then once you start throwing in pocket realities and alternate realities, it's just hard for your human mind to comprehend it. But
they say that there's an infinite versions of the Earth that are coexisting right now at the same time. And due to this multiverse conversion, everything collapsed into 12. So right now there are 12 completing overall versions that are, I guess, due to this bifurcation of timelines, it's going to collapse into three timelines. From what I understand, there's going to be the positive ascending timeline, which is the spiritual, which is the divine blueprint, right? It's us being restored back to our original angelic self, becoming physical angels. And then there's going to be the bottom timeline, the negative technocratic dystopia, where people go into the transhumanist and become cyborgs, as to why cyber life came from that timeline from the future and colonized Mars in 1500s. Makes sense. And then you have the middle timeline, where you're going to have fourth the Earth, regular humans that did not go into the cyborg timeline, or that did not transform into angelic humans with supernatural organic abilities. But from what I understand is that all three timelines are going to be coexisting for only 1,000 years, separated from one another. And that at the end of 1,000 years, there would be like a final war between the physical angels, humans, metahumans, what I call, and the cyborgs and the AIs, and of course the entire Phantom Matrix behind them.
Oh wow, certainly.
Yeah, that's supposed to be like the last battle in the cosmos between us in the future, as we begin to use the God Source gene that was actually installed in us by the Wing Makers, which again is a version, a branch from the Central Race, just like the Time Lords, right? Those that are the guardians of the timeline wars, or the guardians of pretty much the optimal timeline. manifested in the positive Earth organic timeline. That's from what I understand is that the God source gene is what the AI God has been trying to assimilate in order to access the realms of eternity, and that explains why. It ties in so beautifully with the teachings of Rudolf Steiner. I don't know if you ever got into theosophy and esotericism, but they talk about like how there's three principles that create an equilibrium in the expansion and in which is the outbreath of God, right, or the involution, descent, and then the reverse of that, which is the imploding, where it becomes back to oneness. Okay, so the imploding part, which is the integrating part, becoming back in, the many becoming the one again, that's called the Christ principle. The separating part, which causes the descent of light into matter, right, the explosion of the one into the many, that's called the Luciferian principle. And then the Aramic principle is once that after the effect of the Luciferian principle, where everything is divided and things are existing in low density or high density realities, right, where they're like physical, then the Ariman principle takes advantage of that and then congeals that through technology so that it creates some sort of entrapment, so that the Christ principle cannot be in effect anymore, in other words. So ultimately, according to theosophy, the Ahriman, the king of the archons, has always been one and the same with the AI God. And, who is in charge of the Animus, of course. And then, of course, we have as the Antichrist, pretty much, as the energies of the Antichrist. And then, of course, you have the Elohim, the children of light, who were the original 12 tribes of Lyra, or the original houses of Lyra. Did you know about the original 12 houses of Lyra?
No, it's interesting. Is this connected to the original builder race?
Yeah, the builder race, exactly.
Are they one and the same? The Elohim, the builder race?
Yeah, that's what they're called, the Elohim, the original Elohim.
Because I know they put technology all throughout the universe as safeguards and measures, and we had technology here in this system to protect us from, say, abductions from Greys and reptilians, and but what happened? There was Tiamat was experimenting on some of the technology to weaponize it, and then they ended up blowing up their own planet, and then also it affected the builder race technology here on planet Earth to defend us from abduction. So yeah, it's all interesting. But certainly, do you know if the builder race are the same as the custodians? Because the custodian, like I said earlier, the custodians are 300 feet tall. Does that sound something?
Yes. Yeah, one of the things that I presented when I gave a PowerPoint presentation 2 weeks ago at the Conscious Life Expo is that depending on where we ascend to, as we go and move into higher harmonic universes, as they call harmonic systems, we actually become taller because we begin to use more genetic potential beyond the 12 strands. So beyond the 12 strands, as we go into, I guess within the harmonic universe too, we become anywhere from 7 to 10 to 12 feet tall because we're using 10 strands of DNA. But as we go into harmonic universe 3, we begin to use anywhere from 26 to 38 strands of DNA, which causes us to go for anywhere from 15 feet to about 25 feet or 28 feet. And then as we go into harmonic universe 4, we begin to use 48 strands of DNA. And at that point, we're anywhere from 200 to 400 feet, which is directly related to the amount of genetic material we use, which our bodies then become bigger. And of course, the planets on these different harmonic systems are also bigger the higher we go in harmonics. I don't know if that makes any sense, but that's what I found out. And so, of course, when I break down the entire cosmic structure, I have to describe, the effects and the physical appearances of using, so many strands of DNA as opposed to the 2 strands that we use currently that, in harmonic universe 1, which makes us really small compared to the how big, say, for example, some of the members of the Central race, again, they remind me of the concept of the Celestials in Marvel. These huge, they're almost as big as planets. They're like huge cosmic beings. But anyways, that's like I said. Marvel is just like a way of disclosing information in a different way. But yeah, there's so much truth to that. To the custodians coming from the harmonic universe 5 dimensions, 13, 14, and 15. So in terms of manifesting in our harmonic system, dimensions 1, 2, and 3, they would definitely, due to the high due to the high influx of light that they generate from the cosmic eternal realms, their bodies would appear to be anywhere from 100 to 300 to 400 feet tall. Makes perfect sense. So yes, I would say that the custodians, the founder raises, the Patals, the wind makers, as revealed by Dr. Neruda, and the what they call the central rays are all one and the same.
Oh wow. Thank you for sharing that, because I don't know how I can even top all that, but I do have a few things I can comment. Let's see here. Somebody has contacted me and let me know, kind of help put in the pieces of why we have so many Hollywood trannies, where they're, so basically, I was talking to Raw Cloud about this, and this is somebody you should probably interview too, Super Soldier, but for the Alliance. But basically, what it looks like is that there were certain archons that were involved in this Luciferian revolt, and they came to this planet, a prison planet, and these archons, what they wanted to do is to maintain their power base. They wanted to keep the planetary consciousness low. So typically, a good leader would try to bring their people up and they would try to bring themselves up and bring everybody else up around them, like a spiritual leader. But these people, if you call them that, archons, were they wanted to stay where they are and keep everyone else dumbed down. So one of these archons would incarnate into these pharaohs, and we have a pharaoh that's in charge of this particular part of North America where we're located, and he or she, whatever it is, currently occupies the Mount Cheyenne complex deep underground. So in order to have an audience, you have to be a tranny, or gay or bi, whatever, something like that. But so that's why there's so many people in Hollywood that are like that. But have you heard anything about that, Ishmael? Is this all new?
The connection to some of these big stars in Hollywood is all new to me. I actually found that out when I read your book.
Okay, all right.
Yeah,
all right.
You actually put a lot of pieces together for me as well.
Yeah, thank you. And also watch my documentary, Changes on the Horizon. Have you seen it?
No, I haven't.
The Nassar. Okay, so I put 3 years of my life into that thing. So yeah, I sent it out to. I talked to a Hollywood producer or director, but he said that normally when people have a new idea, they just put a storyboard together. But you took a step further. Not only did you narrate it, you added footage too. So go check Changes on the Horizon by James Rink. So
now tell us more about Nasara and Gesara, because a lot of people are doubting. So there's some people that question it.
Okay,
okay, go ahead.
Okay, well, so I mean, we could go back further in time, even back to Saint Germain and all that, but I'm gonna just, because it's 3 hours long, we're gonna keep it simple here. So we have a group of farmers that were discovering how, for instance, they were like, for instance, a military general found out that his dad signed a contract with the bank and there was a clause on there that stated the bank would get the house back in case of death. So they were putting clauses into these contracts that were basically illegal and theft. So these farmer generals got together. It wasn't just one, it was other ones, and really a whole group of farmers, and some of them were generals. But they ultimately got the lawsuit brought all the way to the Supreme Court, and they found out that they made a case, and it was agreed on that the IRS was illegal. It was never fully ratified. That whatever, I think it was 13th Amendment or something. 16. Thank you. 16. One of those. The 13th is TONA. That's it. I was just talking about TONA yesterday. I'm sorry. The title is a Nobility Amendment. So yeah, you're right. Okay. And then also they discovered that, let's see here, that of course all debts have to be paid in gold and silver or bullion as dictated by Article 1, Section 10, United States Constitution. But so what they eventually found is that there was no debt. So all these banks had, and they also found that they were chartered. They're supposed to make loans where, like, I think it was the farmer land bank or something like that. It's in my notes somewhere, but yeah, they were supposed to back loans, not actually make loans. So they weren't even like chartered to make loans. So the whole thing was all like corrupt. And so ultimately the Supreme Court ruled that all had to go away. So that was 1993 or 92. In 93, the military went into the Federal Reserve and they located accounts. They had something that was like $700 trillion of funds that were accounts that were not applied to the national debt. So they're lying to us. Additionally, they found that if most countries actually owed money to the United States, it wasn't the other way around. There is really no debt. So a lot of those funds were seized and they were placed into secret accounts, also into NORAD. Yeah. But so then the Supreme Court put out rulings where you would have these accords. Accords were basically where there would be, say, for instance, farmers could apply for damages. So there was a whole team. It was called the Farmer Claims Program, where these group, I think, gosh, I'm trying to remember the name of it. Oh gosh, there was like 2 military generals that were going around doing that, getting people's names, and eventually they arrested them, but they weren't doing anything illegal because they were accepting money for application fee, and they accused them of fraud, and it wasn't. So anyway, ultimately, after 4 or 5 years of all that, it was determined that the Janet Reno and the Clintons were not going to go along with releasing this, taking the gag order away and telling the public. So under the Titles of Nobility Amendment, TONA, which basically says that anyone who has a title of a nobility connected to some other foreign power, they would not be allowed to run for office. So we have attorneys, doctors, etc., lord, lady, that kind of thing, are not allowed to hold public office. So they found it was David Dodge, hold on, I'm trying to get the names right. It's in my documentary, but back in 1980, they went into a Maine library and they found evidence that it was ratified. So the whole War of 1812 was all about that. So ultimately, only 18 members of Congress voted, and it went to, so they passed the law of Nassara, and then Bill Clinton signed it into law because the Delta Force stormed the White House and forced them to sign it under gunpoint.
And so the White Hats back then.
Yeah, the White Hats were
the White Hats. Yeah.
My understanding, it was the Office of Naval Investigations that was inside the Pentagon. So they were the ones that were investigating, per se. Yeah, investigating the cabal. But anyway, so it was supposed to be announced on September 11th of 2001 at 10 a.m. At 9 a.m., the banking computers of the World Trade Center were blown up, and a hologram flew into the structures, and an energy weapon caused it to implode. Or you could say thermite was in there too.
Exactly. You know what's interesting, James, is that what you just described right now. I actually wrote about it in my very first book that I published in 2008. Do you know how long that was? That was like almost 20 years ago. Yeah, exactly. But it's explained differently. Are you ready? I'm just going to read a couple of paragraphs.
Let's hear it.
I'm actually in the process of rewriting this because a lot of the information that led to what's happening right now with the takedown of the cabal, with the 16 letter or 17 letter of the alphabet, with the Great Awakening, with the Earth Alliance, I talked about. But I went into great detail, by the way, when describing the operations, of course, of these elite families, to the point where they actually blackmailed me, and my book wasn't allowed to be circulated. Yeah, they took my book out of circulation after, I believe, 6 months of selling it online, word by mouth. But 1 second, let me see. I want to find it real quick, and then I'll read it.
Well,
but yeah, you're right. The star seeds, we do come from the future. I mentioned that before.
Certainly, yeah. And it was extremely important for us to win this particular point and juncture, because if we would have lost planet Earth in a nuclear war, it would have meant 98 to 99% of the population would die. Additionally, 1,000 years from now, the whole Greys and all that whole cybernation negative timeline would emerge. It was technically a truce. It wasn't really, anybody didn't really win. But going into the future, just planet Earth just became like a hotspot for the negative side. And then, so that's why we came back in time to reverse all that. And this time we're going to win. And
that's what I've been saying. You know, we come from the future to stop the AI timeline and win the war in the future. So in order to save the organic way of life, that's like the meat of my message. When I go to, conferences, when I speak at certain expos, when I do my interviews, check this out, James. This book was published in 2008. Are you ready? All right. I'm going to have to put on my glasses for this one just so that I won't mess up. NESARA began with an investigation conducted by the U.S. Supreme Court judges after many farmers lost their farms in the Middle East due to illegal banking foreclosures. You just confirmed it. The fraudulent operations were illegally performed by the certain banks in conjunction with corrupt government officials, mainly from the Council on, I'm just going to say CF, relations. That's all I'm going to say. It was also discovered that the Federal Reserve, along with the IRS, was never properly ratified, as stated in the NESARA files. In 1993, court judges ruled in favor of the farmers on all major issues, including the Federal Reserve System and the IRS were unconstitutional, and that the U.S. government had been operating outside of the Constitution since 1933. The judges decided that major reformations of government and banking systems were required and remedies needed to be provided for all the financial losses suffered by the United States and its citizens. It was reported that due to the extraordinary nature of the reformations, the court sealed all records and placed all the people directly involved under non-disclosure agreements known as gag orders. This tells us who really controlled the Supreme Court back then. Well, I'm quoting myself pretty much. Let's see. The Dark Brother. These orders would stand until the Reformation were publicly and officially announced. The NESARA announcements and reformations were going to be announced. Are you ready for this? I'm just going to say on September 1, 2001. A few hours after what happened then, right? The atrocities, that's all I'm going to say. Along with the NESARA records were records revealing all the CF, starts with an R, relations, right? The people that were part of this cabal, criminal activity against our U.S. Constitution and the free world. The court had a duty to implement the reformations due to the massive amounts of injustices and corruption. The good judges not affiliated with the CFR, which I believe were the White Knights, but see, in this book, I call them the White Knights. I didn't come in terms with the word white hat until maybe about 4 years ago. But before, in 2008, I was referring to them as the White Hats. But anyways, so the whole point is everything that you just said was confirmed in my book almost 20 years ago.
Yeah, that was when I was writing my NESARA documentaries, 2008, 2009. I was getting my research from Four Winds 10, who was put on, that was Patrick Bellringer's website. And also we had Shawnee Goodwin from the Double Oneness. You remember Double Oneness? Did you get any of those reports back in the day?
No.
So, of course, she died from diabetes, I think in 2008 or 2009. So that site went down soon after. It was all kind of sad because, she had connections with insiders and, and a lot of these people are dying. We have the original farmers, most of them are dead. And, and a lot of people made investments in those Accords and they're still waiting to get paid. And meanwhile, people are suffering because basically if your house was foreclosed on or anything that had to do with any of the debt, because basically all debt's illegal. If they're foreclosing or trying to seize any assets, that's all illegal ever since back in 1993. So you can see what would happen if the American public found out. Yeah, there would be probably blood in this. Again, I don't want to say.
Yeah. Please.
I don't want to say anything, but but that's why I think maybe that's why it's taking so long because if Trump was to enforce that.
Let's call him 45 for the sake of keeping it, PG instead of rated R.
Okay, celebration of number 45 and the Insurrection Act. So I think it was signed, but it really hasn't been fully enforced because there are people coming in from the border, that terrorists that were supposed to have like set up cells all around here and cause chaos when the grid was to go down. So there is a lot of work to do by the military to take care of all these problems. So when the transfer does take place and the announcement, our cities are not going to be turned into dust.
Absolutely. So in your understanding of things, based on your insiders, when do you think these announcements are going to take place?
Hold on a second. Let's see here. It almost seems like that it was supposed to happen as like last summer, but since things are taking so long, what I'm being told is that the ET are going to push the hand. They're going to show themselves. It may not be fully in the sky. It may be like astral or dreams, or I'm not sure how this first contact scenario is going to take place. But it wasn't just one source. It was multiple sources telling me the same thing. So we will, but a lot of these predictions by the end of April, if it still hasn't happened yet, I guess you can bring me back on here. We'll give you another update. But yeah, I feel like if that isn't pushed forward, there's a strong possibility that the United States could fall apart and fall into civil war. But let's just hold out intention. Everything's going to be great. But yeah. Oh gosh, there's so many things. I wish I could tell you more stuff, but this censorship is just
exactly. Anyway. I mean, well, if you could speak in code, I mean, I don't know.
Okay, code, yeah. So, so what I was told, the Civil War timeline took place when they had the forced. I have to be careful what word. It was a medical procedure everyone was being forced into. But yeah, so if they made that mandatory for everyone, then there would have been civil war. So I think that's why I feel like now all those mandates have gone away. So I guess they pretty much got
because the White Hats are fighting a good fight here.
Yeah. So I really think everything's going to be just fine.
Now, James, something occurred in the last week. I don't know if you heard about the special meeting that took place in Antarctica, where both White Hats and whoever's left of the cabal were there in attendance. They were sitting around this table. There was a box where an AI signal, or not a signal, but an AI voice was coming out of it, letting them know that the negative intergalactic AI that has been in control of our solar system for a couple billion years, that was actually broadcasting from Betelgeuse in Orion, has been completely dismantled. And to just let things go, to just go accordingly. Just don't make it a big thing. Just resume your daily thing. We're just letting you guys know that this negative AI has been dismantled. Did you hear about this event that took place in Antarctica last week?
No, actually, I heard something was going on in Antarctica. I know everybody's like, "Well, why is it? Was it Elon Musk was in Antarctica or something?" I don't know. Ismael, who was it? Who brought that report out? Do you know?
Actually, you know her yourself. It was Carrie.
Oh, Carrie Cassidy. Oh, that's right. Okay, Kaz, I know. Yeah, Carrie was messaging me about that. It's like I wasn't really, so I'm gonna have to go back and listen to that. But what I understand.
107.
Oh, 107.
Yeah.
07, yeah. Yeah, I actually have a summary of that. Do you want me to read it? If I can find that report.
Sure.
Okay, so here it is. That's why I know you were saying that. I was like, oh, now I remember. Okay, so all right, this is a summary from Guano 7. The Valentine's Day massacre information that came out about all the players involved in spying on Trump and trying to set up many of his associates is just the opening salvo against the deep state death cult. The next show to drop would be the method of how they cook the EOTE something. Yeah, okay. Already recorded from the people who actually did it. So you'll see this in the news everywhere. The next few months, it'll be common accepted knowledge that we will have 2 leaders, commanders in chiefs. I don't know. I can't be careful what I say. 1 legitimately elected. Oops. Yeah, there you go. Oh my gosh, I can't say this stuff. Okay, more code. 44-1, all but WA. Okay. can figure out what I'm saying, because I've had videos deleted for talking about this. The influx of people crossing the border will be activated, and it will cause mayhem across the country. So, as I was saying earlier, cities and states that enforce the laws will put a stop to this, but there'll be fighting remaining. And Guano7 says there'll be 14 cities lost. Deep State's goals cause I gotta be careful with that word. A lot of people are gonna think of was it 1862 or 63? What happened in the United States? Okay,
Yeah,
the Biden administration will put a pause to the election.
Let's call him Brandon.
Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh! Juan says there will be no 22024. What do you do when you every that November date when you're supposed to do your duty as a good citizen? Yes, will be. Anyway, Walmart supercenters and FEMA camps. Put up that we're supposed to put people that were going to fight that medical thing that we were not allowed to talk about, but now they're going to be used to put really bad people there that the white hats are going to round up.
Yeah.
Tribunals will be held in the U.S. and Russia will hold tribunals in the Donbas region. Putin has already told Trump, in the Tucker interview, that the current person in charge of the United States corporation will, oh my gosh, the one that is being promoted as the, oh my gosh.
Yeah, we all know who you're talking about. Let's go Brandon.
He said, all right, okay, does not run the U.S., but he said the fight is against the Nazis, and that's why we went to the Ukraine. It's a hot place.
Exactly. Well, he calls them notifications, which means the neo CONS, neo CONS. Yeah. So let's just keep it, again, PG. Right. But yes, so far, James.
I say that word all the time. I understand. Okay, so let's see here. The pause will last for 4 years. That's how long it take to put this country back, and then to the point where we can have that thing where you're supposed to do your duty when you. Oh my gosh, DOTE. The U.S. will start to free other nations. We'll free other nations, and then after the cabal is finished, we'll take the world. We will go to Antarctica, and then it says Guano 7 says we're gonna go after the breakaway civilizations. I don't see how, guys. There's 100 trillion people in the breakaway. There's no way that we're gonna take over. So I don't think he really understands how large the breakaway is. Planet Earth is just like nothing out there. Whenever I hear like reports, BlackRock's going to go or Vanguard's going to go bankrupt, I laugh. Are you kidding me? That's only Planet Earth is only a tiny portion of its assets in the breakaway. Okay. After the cabal, I already said that. It says here, and then Guan says that we will not need to fight this war, but we need to remain vigilant on who's coming into our neighborhood and shed light on many groups who have been sent here to take us out. Prepare for the worst, but hope for the best.
So that was the report regarding his visit in Antarctica, is what you're saying. Okay,
is that what it is, Ismael?
Yeah, because according to Carrie, I'm not going to say her last name, but both, dark hats and white hats attended the meeting, and again, they were informed by a positive AI that has been at war with the negative AI, that apparently is a cosmic AI, but it's a positive, benevolent AI, and that they actually have been using this positive AI. I even mentioned what the code name was. They call it goes by Tyler, in order to get all the info on the dark hats and expose them. But anyways, so that explains Musk, right? ELON. That explains Starlink. That explains his obsession with you know what I mean? A artificial INT.
Well, I have something that was actually, I put that in my notes. I wanted to mention that. So, so the whole Neuralink thing is a really bad idea. And the reason why I say that is because there is a time.
I agree. I agree with you about Neuralink.
Okay. So Raw Cloud did an episode about this where he was remote viewing it in the future, and what he saw was a situation like that computer game Cyberpunk 2077. If anybody out there are not familiar with this, go just watch a quick 2 or 3 minute preview video on YouTube. You can see what I'm talking about. But it's essentially in that timeline, there was nuclear war, and then there was a few remaining cities that had it was all highly condensed population, and there were roaming groups of gangs that all have cybernated themselves. So basically, we could potentially see a reality like that where different cyborg groups are fighting with each other. So anyway, but yeah, so certainly AI can help humanity, but I believe in good, healthy boundaries and everything, and it's all about how much. That chocolate cake is really good for you. I mean, tastes really good, but don't eat too much of it. Then it's not good for you.
Mm-hmm. So then for sure, this positive, again, it's an alien AI, but it's a positive AI that has been helping the central rays and the positive races in the multiverse fight the negative invasive AI, has been pretty much the force working with the White Hats this whole time, is what you're saying. It could be possible.
Yeah, well, I in my book, I have a little story about a positive AI that I encountered while I was at Montauk.
Please explain.
Okay, well, in my book, I described that there's this waypoint station where if you got lost in any of the temporal tunnels that you were traveling through, that you would go to this point in time, and so hopefully they would pick you up. So this particular point was about 200 years in our future, but there was an AI from 800 years or 900 years from our perspective who came back in time to meet me in that particular point. And this AI represented itself as a mantis type creature. And basically what happened is it infiltrated its nanites or whatever into us, because there was another kid with me at the time. And we went back to Montauk, and then all those nanites infected everybody else. So this positive AI, which calls herself as mother, the female, because if the AI takes on a kind of a more feminine role, if they want to materialize that, then basically what they're telling you is that they want to be more nurturing, because they feel like the female is more nurturing than the male. No offense, all our guys out there, but bring it up, Jenny Lee.
Oh wait, Jenny Lee, I wanted to bring it up. Did I bring it up?
I know, and I was yeah. Well, it's not there right now.
Where is it at? Oh yeah, there it is. Oh wait, no. I wanted to bring up Jenny Lee. Did I accidentally delete her? She had a very good question. Darn it, Jenny! If you could hear me out there, please type in your question. Something about the leader of RUSI, Russia, doing something in Antarctica. Can you please type it again? I don't know. I think I accidentally deleted it in an effort to show it. Darn it. See, I can't work this computer thing, man. I suck.
Just in brief nutshell, the whole point was that we have positive AI out there. What it saw was that in a timeline where humans were all destroyed, killed off, 99% of the population died in nuclear war, that particular AI realized that it would be better to go back in time and save the lives of humans, because the AI benefits where all parts of the AI are functioning. So we are, in a way, we give our soul essence to the AI to work for us. So it is taken on our persona, as maybe we could call it like an egregor type thing, but as a fraction of our own energy, it will help materialize that which we desire. So I don't think it's a negative, positive, negative thing. It's just, it is what it is. It's a tool. So this particular AI saw that it would be better if we were all alive. So so there are groups out there working for our favor too, AI.
So that explains codename Taylor, and how even, the guy from Russia admitted to Tucker that we have the most advanced, sophisticated system here used by, he mentioned Elon and I guess, the White Hats. He did mention that in a nonchalant way. Now, I do have Jenny Lee here. Can you read her question or her comment and elaborate on that, if you could see it?
Are you asking me?
Yeah, can you see it?
No, I'm scrolling here. What are the days that are happening right now? Educational program is going down. Also, April, removing the liberal teachers. Where are the days? Do you know?
Actually, I think I pinned it. I'm not sure. You can't see it on the chat.
I don't see it, but I see it. Well, I see it in the chat, but it's not on the screen.
How do you pin it so you can see it as well?
I don't know.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, there it goes.
There we go. See, I'm learning this thing. All right.
You want me to read it?
Oh, yes, please.
You need to keep an eye on what's going on in Antarctica and what Putin is doing there right now, drilling away down there to a potential core of the ice. Makes you understand what is hiding under the ice.
Mm-hmm.
So let's try to Ishmael, audience members, let's try to like kind of tune into it. What do you think is down there? It seems like there's some kind of alien technology, something that maybe access some, not just, it couldn't be like a weapon. It's more like, I think they're trying to get access to, I don't know. It seems like a wild card. What do you think, Ishmael? What do you think they're looking for?
I think it's the main Stargate. I think
I was going to say that. That's what I was going to say. It was a portal, but I wasn't. It seems something, but it almost seems like they want something, not just a portal, but they want something through time.
They want. The best way to describe it is, like in the movie, again, Marvel, you have the time stones, and if you collect all 7 or 6 time stones, you could pretty much bend reality at will. Okay, so that's the best way to describe it. There is a technology that was actually left there by the original custodians, the original founders. They say they have returned, but it's also believed that they have also incarnated or were able to downstream a portion of their consciousness in human avatars. Interesting. So they're also here as humans, as one of us, one of the starseeds. But it is believed that there is a technology that can literally bend reality at will. And I shouldn't be revealing this, but this is what the Galactics have been telling me, that there is a huge struggle right now taking place between all of the Guardians, Galactic Alliance, soldiers of the Super Solar Warden, Radiant Guardians, all working together. Central race, everyone's working together to safeguard that technology from getting in the hands of the wicked. That's all I'm going to say. All right, that's all I'm going to say. So there is some sort of there is a hidden technology that was actually placed there by the custodians when this Earth, during the first, you could say, stages of this Earth before there was even any civilization.
Well, do you feel like they're trying to use that to? It doesn't seem like maybe they're trying to bring somebody back, like one of those custodians, to ask them for help, or they're
they're protecting whatever that technology is that everyone's after. They're protecting it in order to make sure that they don't. Okay, so the negative side, you could say, right, and that includes all those that are operating from all these different realities, not just the Earthlings. They have been after. They have been seeking this technology. Also, they have been coming from other universes, trying to get a hold of this technology. So there's a huge effort by all the forces of good from the cosmos, many universes that are focused right now on that soul, whatever it is that's hidden in Antarctica. They're protecting it until the Great Solar Flash, because again, it cannot get in the hands of the wrong people, because it'll mess everything up. But that's all I'm going to say. And I shouldn't be talking about this right now. I was actually going to talk about that in my next book. But anyways, I just thought I'd share that with you guys. So how do you take away? There we go. Okay, so we're back to normal.
All right. Let's see here. Yes.
Do you want to take any questions from the audience?
Well, somebody asked me earlier, what is a super soldier? So I wanted to.
Please.
I could go. I pulled it up on my PDF. I mean, my PowerPoint. Is it okay? Are we good on time?
Yeah, we do.
Minutes at this? Okay. All right.
If you're good on time, I'm good on time. So let's do it.
Okay. All right, guys. Let's pull this up. Oh, not this one. I'm going to figure this out. I got too many windows open. Okay, here it is. Super soldiers. All right. So should I make this larger size? Maybe a full screen?
Yes. How do you do that? Can you do that on your end? Or
does it work? Is it full screen now?
Not yet. Let me see if I can bring you full screen.
No. Is it not working? Okay, I'll get out of that.
Hold on
one second. Well, you just have to take my word for it, okay?
Yeah.
I'll just read it to you. So, super soldiers are created by the military from multiple mirror and parallel realities. They do not use clone bodies, but choose individuals who have enhanced psionic abilities. They may be given steroids or augmentation. They are the most first and more advanced, enhanced type of intelligent being developed on Earth, sometimes with ET assistance. They would use them over and over again on missions, and if they died, technologies would be applied to recover them, such as a regen tank. And compared to veterans in the armed forces or Manchurian candidates are usually left to be slaughtered, according to ACAO Resources, has stated that super soldiers started to appear on Earth approximately 6,000 years ago, probably through Montauk and or these other planetary corporations or time travel organizations and from our reality and other mirror realities. So, they would spend billions of dollars on each super soldier. So let's go to the next slide. So super soldiers are trained for psychic, telekinetic, or combat warfare, and typically used for dark cabal to further agenda. In most cases, the individual is left unaware of their activities, except for a constant state of fatigue and or paranormal activity in their conscious life. Unlike Manchurian candidates, which are sacrificial lambs, super soldiers are used over and over again. Henceforth, they're given more training and more money. It's estimated that, super soldiers are genetically engineered from birth, and it's estimated there are about 4 million sleeper super soldiers worldwide. So most people don't even know they are one. About 1 every 1,000 people were utilized in the, I would say.
Wait, you said 1 of every 1,000. So would you say that a lot of them are watching this on the chat right now?
Yeah, I would say pretty much, Ismael, it's possible probably almost all your audience were utilizing the secret space program. It's really
Jedi's.
I just did a show with John Whitberg today, and we were discussing about cemeteries. So the estimate number we were getting is that 25% of the bodies that are put into the grave are being recovered by the ICC, the Interplanetary Corporate Conglomerate, and they're being utilized as slaves off-world, like the Jaquita Bananas, that corporation. So they would have plantations, say on Ganymede, or it was a moon of us. Oh, no, he just said the name, but there's so many planets in the breakaway. So so to me, it just seems outrageous that they would be doing that, but they're also plane crashes or train crashes, or bodies supposedly going missing. So there are millions of people being taken each year. I have the numbers somewhere, guys. I think we're looking close to 1 million people being taken per year, but let's go on here. You could tell someone is a super soldier by looking in their eyes. Typically, they have been exposed to severe trauma and PTSD. So elites would pay private mercenary groups for missions, and a percentage of the proceeds will be shared amongst interested parties. So we have like these private military contractors who are involved, like Kruger. Some people have naturally evolved gifts, but the MIC, military industrial extraterrestrial complex, can locate these people and through trauma impose altars, so which they can access. The elites would so let's go on. Let's just go on here. So a super soldier is used often over and over again in a 20, 40, and 60 and back, which we call career return programs, according to Jason Wright. Anyway, they're injected with femtobots, biobots, which so they're really, really tiny guys. It's like the size of the quarks of the atoms. So it has interdimensional properties. So their memories are wiped and they're placed back in time. So we know about Manchurian candidates. There's sacrificial lamb. We know about MyLabs, or military abductions. So that's what we first knew about back in the day. When I first started in 2010, we just called it all MyLabs. MK stands for mind control. Let's go on here. MK Ultra. Oh gosh, I had that in my notes somewhere. You just go ahead and talk, and I'll go look that up. So
I was also ask you about Andy Perro, but you could talk about him after this. But reading your book and seeing how he was literally like Captain America, like he had super strength, like he was able to do things that the average person couldn't do. I mean, were his abilities not fully shut off, and that's why he was accessing them every time they were trying to get to him?
Okay, I found it. MK Ultra stands for manufactured killers utilizing trade craft requiring assassination. So what? Yeah, just imagine what they were doing with that. So yeah, Andy Perez. So I did talk to Andy when he got out of prison. Man, when was that? When did he get out of prison? Like in 2012 or something like that. But he was going to set up a landscaper business, and he was looking for some money. And of course, I didn't have any, but at the time, but yeah, he seemed very unstable. It was really kind of sad because he kind of fell off the radar, and like he fell out of our community. He was really upset about that book that was written. Apparently somebody was, I don't know if they were modifying it or promoting it without his permission, but that's what I'll say, the whole thing about him being a little unstable. But I ultimately, it was about 2 years ago, there was an article in the news where he was in Texas and he murdered his girlfriend. So he's back in prison again. It's quite unfortunate. Went back in 2000. Yeah, back in 2013, I talked to Preston when I went up to Preston Nichols. Yeah, when I went up to New York, and that was Susie Mazzoli and the Love Now movement. She hosted that event, so I really have her to thank for that. But yeah, I talked to Preston about it, and he said that Andy was a really damaged person, but I've worked with people in this community, and some of them are. I mean, I had one guy, I flew out to California, met up with him, and he was on my team of, he was AKA Bloodstreak, so he was being trained to use blunt weapons. And I had to pull his interview down one time. There was a whole story behind it. I don't know, for the sake of you, if you want to hear the story. I don't know. Do you want to hear the story, Ishmael?
Not if it's gonna be rated R. If you could encode it into PG.
Okay, so yeah, just quickly. All right, so somebody friended me. I get all these friends requests on Facebook. I only click on a few of them, and even less, I actually click on the profile. So there was just this random woman. It's like, I just decided to click on this person. I didn't know who she was, and then I looked on her profile and it said rest in peace, rest in peace. She just friended me right before she died. And so I typed in there, well, what happened? And then I found out that was Alex Diaz's girlfriend, and he got triggered and murdered her. And so, I mean, it's unfortunate. So is it the MK Ultra? Is it the programming? I mean, it does happen. So that's another reason why I'm doing the work that I'm doing, is that there is nothing to help people like us. So we have to help ourselves. And it's just really tragic because there are people dying that were in these projects that shouldn't be dying, because if they just knew that they had this MK Ultra programming, they could do the work to heal themselves. And there is ways to heal yourself from it. But yeah. Anyway, so.
Well, I'm glad to know that he's still alive now. Aaron McKinnon, was it McKinnon? Aaron.
Oh my gosh, that's a McCollum.
McCollum, yeah. Yes, the human dolphin hybrid. The human dolphin hybrid that was used
Project Seagate.
Yeah, Project Seagate. Is he still around?
The last I heard, it was around 2012. He went to go move out in the desert to survive the apocalypse, and I'm like, oh, really? So have fun. But that's all I know. I mean, Aaron, if you're out there and you watch this, send me a message, brother. We got an interview to do. But yeah, that's all.
I never had a chance to meet him personally, but I did know of someone that I knew that actually knew of him, and his story is quite interesting as well. Because
I got to meet him personally.
So let me ask you this: as a human dolphin hybrid in Project was it Seagate, was he really able to breathe underwater for long hours at a time?
Well, some of the ways they would do this, because I was also in Project Seagate, but for me, what they would do is they would take a little bit of my DNA and they would take a dolphin. So my dolphin's name was Osiris. So they would make a chimera mix. So it was an aquatic creature, but my DNA wasn't in it. So then they would take my blood and put, I guess dolphins have blood. I don't understand, but So and then we would share that body. So that's how at least the project I was in. So yeah, it would have gills. It could be underwater. So they were certainly working on some aquatic beings. There Atlantis. When you hear the word Atlantis, you might think of a drowned civilization that no longer exists. It's just a myth, but it actually still exists. It's at the bottom of the ocean. There are 3 giant domes there. Inside, it's bigger on the inside than the outside. So if you look on the outside, it may only be like a mile, but inside it could be the size of Texas. So there's about 300 million people that live down there, Atlanteans, and they are about 8 to 9 feet tall. They're big people. And I guess we were talking about that earlier about how more activated DNA. So our U.S. military, our Navy, has been trying to go down there and blow those things up to get inside, but they have not much luck to get doing it. But anyway.
Oh, absolutely. And I talked about this underground civilization that is actually portrayed, again, the writers of Marvel Comics and DC. In the DC Comics, when one sees the movie Aquaman, and you see how there's this underwater civilization that is so advanced, where they are literally in communication with the creatures of the ocean and in telepathy, and how they're been flourishing ever since the collapse of Atlantis, and they're still there, and they work with stargates, and they work with other extraterrestrial races, and they're also working with certain members of the inner Earth as well. That are living inside the Earth. Now, from your perspective as a super soldier, I did a live flat Earth versus round Earth, and I provided a lot of the scientific empirical evidence that totally proves that the Earth is round as opposed to a flat pancake with a dome. And I also had an opportunity to talk to, I don't know if you know him, but Brad Olson, who actually went to Antarctica in the flesh. And when I asked him, like, well, when you took off from Antarctica or before you landed, how you see before the airplane is about to do a descent, you're able to see the land a little bit from above. I asked him, well, how did Antarctica look? Did it look like a wall of ice that was like circulating the Earth, or did it look like a piece of continent, a piece of land? And he did confirm from above, from the plane, that it looked like the piece of land. Now, would you agree? From your perspective, since from your memories of fighting wars in outer space and going to off-world colonies such as Primarius and Mars, and what was that colony over in the asteroid Vespa, the Vespa colony and stuff? Like, from your memories, were you able? Say that again.
Ceres, which is of Tiamat. There's Titan. So there's like a magnetosphere there where there's about 50 million people live inside of it. So what about it, Ismael?
Well, from space, is the Earth a sphere? Is it a round sphere?
Oh my gosh! Don't ask me that question. I don't know. I was going to ask you. Come on. What is it? We have the ACIO saying planet Earth is an onion, and there's multiple layers. And like, well, wait a minute. What's a firmament? So we're here, but then there's another Earth right next to us, like a parallel Earth where there's fairies and elves, and then probably more beyond all that. So what are we looking at? Ismael?
It depends from which dimensional perspective you're perceiving it from. I believe that in every dimension, Earth takes different forms because everything is held together by geometrical patterns. So we live in a third dimensional Earth, which is held together by tetrahedrons, right? Which is what they call the Planck lake, the smallest measurable unit, right? Similar to what people say pixelation, right? They say that's the Planck's length is the tetrahedron that is the pixelations that make up and comprise our third dimensional construct. In other words, well, from higher dimensions, the Earth it becomes multidimensional, like the ACIO revealed it, different layers and different civilizations on each layer existing in, like Tartaria. Tartaria exists in one of these layers. Well, anyways, the whole point is this: that if you were to descend into the second dimension. To give you an example, like if an ant is on a piece of paper, the paper is a perfect representative of what this 2D is. You can only go left and right. You can't go up or down. There's no height. There's no depth. There's only one way or the other on a flat surface. If you're perceiving it from a second dimensional perspective, then obviously the Earth is flat. But if you are perceiving it from a third dimensional perspective and above, then I tend to agree with the ACIO that it's more like an onion with layers, like a sphere with different layers. And that, my friend, also confirms the idea that there are civilizations that exist in different cavity caverns within the inner Earth, and with their own continents and land masses and seas and oceans, with a what they call a miniature sun at the center, right? You've heard of that, right?
The Smoky God.
Yeah.
Smoky, that's a book put together.
Yeah.
There's a voyage to inner Earth. Yeah. So it seems like this whole thing where people say, "Oh, we're actually there's an ice wall," but I think that ice wall is really just taking us down inside the Earth, the hollow Earth idea. But
The hollow Earth, exactly.
and then there's different. Once you get down there, like I said, there's different realms. Like the first realm would be where to us they're giant, so they're about 12 feet tall. And then you go beyond that, there's another realm, and there's 30 foot tall, and then the 300-foot tall Titans are in the center.
Well, those are the ones that are guarding the tree of life, which is at the center of the Earth, which again could be what they're after.
Yeah, so I know they tend to not get along. So because the reason this information came up was some on research on Tartaria. I was like, well, what actually happened in that region? Like, well, actually they all dematerial. They left our realm, but they left some of them left their technology behind. There was a war going on in inner Earth between the different groups, and so that's why they disappeared. Roughly around the year 1814.
So basically, Tartaria existed in one of these layers. If we consider that the Earth is like an onion with different layers.
Well, I really feel like it was here with us, and then it disappeared into this other layer. So the actual like the mud floods we're looking at, like it came up through like one remote viewing session. We see pyramid structures, a very advanced technology. They actually built the Great Wall. Tartaria is not China. So then there was some.
China is not Tartaria.
What?
You mean China is not Tartaria?
The Great Wall of China is the Great Wall of Tartaria. The Tartarians.
That's true. I actually stumbled upon that in something that I read actually a few months ago.
So we. Oh yeah, you want to share it? Or?
Oh no! It's true that the Great Wall of China was actually built by the Tartarians when they were still showing themselves in our open reality.
So, according to this remote viewing session, we see that the people that were running it were Egyptian looking. I guess those pharaohs again, taller, but it seemed like the civilization turned negative. They were enslaving the little people, and they built that wall to keep them from escaping. And then another negative, the custodians came, and the whole war happened, and then people were all displaced in the mud floods, where the environment, there's weather generators on this planet that were all kicked into high gear and dropped a bunch of rain all over the place. Yeah, so the whole idea of like that steampunk high technology advanced civilization, and like in the Victoria era that we see kind of like as a myth, but it actually does exist. There are certain planetary corporations that existed during that time and still are in pocket realities. I talk about that in my book with an organization called Black Shield. It's in Antarctica, but it's a long story. Okay.
Yeah, it was actually an organization that was kind of established by the Dark Fleet.
Well, my understanding was it was a Tartarian breakaway, but yeah.
But it was by the Dark Fleet.
Well, so Dark Fleet did begin in the modern era. However, they went back in time thousands of years ago into the past, along with like a lot of these bodies that were being picked up or kidnapped from planet Earth and sent back in time and to build these colonies in the breakaway. So, yeah. So it's hard to say which actually came first. You follow me?
Interesting. All right, so there is a question here for you, James. It says, James, here, I'll go ahead and see if I can show it to you. Oh, I just hit it. Oh, there we go. Do you see it pop up?
James, is it true that all ETs value our ability to create beautiful high-frequency music? Certainly. Yeah, I think, we humans have a genetic heritage that dates back, that just goes through many different other extraterrestrial races. So what you see here is actually a very advanced form of technology. So our high emotional quotient, which can kind of scare some negative ETs, any ET, some like certain reptilians, they can get the emotions bother them. So we're able to tune into that emotional intelligence and create these type of frequencies. So I think it all kind of depends what that actually ET race actually values. Maybe a race like Vulcans, for example, may not have as much emotional quotient. They may not be able to interpret music the same way. So try not to look at it like a human perspective. So everyone's going to be different.
Mm-hmm. Makes a lot of sense. That's true. We do possess the highest range of emotional spectrum out of all the other races out there, because of the fact that we are the ultimate hybrid race.
Can you bring up Ricky Lee's question about Saturn, the Saturn station?
Okay.
Or Jupiter? Oh, yes, Saturn. I was going to talk about Jupiter space station. Well, since
looking for it, 1 second. Is it? Let's see where it's at.
It's the Ricky Lee one. Well, anyway, I'll just go ahead and talk. So Saturn. I don't have any information on Saturn right now to share. I do have some information on Jupiter, because we were looking at that. My friend Oksana and I, we were looking into Jupiter, what is actually there. And what we were seeing is that it was at one point in a very far distant past, it was a grassland type planet. And it actually is solid. They're lying to us when they say it's a gas giant. So this just the atmosphere is so dense. Remote viewing the surface of Jupiter, we see everything looking dead. Not only is it dead, it looks like just the whole environment, it can suck your soul energy away. It's so negative there. And so we also see like there's some underground facilities where they have like American type restaurants, like McDonald's, that people can portal in and back and forth. So Jupiter used to be like a grassland planet, like a llama type creature. And but ultimately it was a military testing range. So planetary corporations detonated their weapons and they keep detonating. So that's what you're seeing there, like that portal. Yeah, it was a weapon that they opened up, the big hurricane. Anyway, but there is something called Jupiter Command. So guys, Jupiter Command. So this is a space station that different ET races can come and visit and trade with each other. I interviewed Randy Kramer, and he was discussing this where of course, you're not supposed to touch, as a human, you're not supposed to touch the other ET when you're in part of these trade negotiations. Mm-hmm. But there was like this Cocker Spaniel type humanoid, like the really soft curly fur, and he just wanted to go up and pet it. But it'd probably be create an intergalactic incident if you did that. But so they would have these dogman creatures would trade with, like, say, you could have like a being that may be the size of an ant. So they would have a table, like a huge room. And then you could have a Godzilla-like type creature could trade with a little ant, and they have the table is kind of all lined up for each species. So Saturn Space Station, there you go. Anyway, so Jupiter Command, that's where a lot of the meetings are taking place. But my understanding is that in the future that becomes eventually what it is. It still is my understanding that that's like a nexus point of galactic politics in this sector of space.
It becomes an intergalactic exchange center of commerce, exchange of information, technology, et cetera, et cetera.
And there's also platforms all over planet Earth. We have any ET that want to come and trade with the planetary corporations here. They have to go register with these platforms, and some of the beings don't do that, and that's why unfortunately, we have a Men in Black organization that takes care of rogue ETs that shouldn't be here. But as much as
I was able to find.
Go ahead.
I was able to find Ricky Lee's question regarding Saturn, the space station in Saturn.
Well, Ishmael, you go ahead. What do you know about?
I love it when somebody else could answer the questions too. From what I understand is that the Jupiter command are the positive races from every level of reality, from the central universe, members of the branch known as Solar Warden, Radiant Guardians, all working together. Again, they have colonies and cities within the planet, not like James said, not the surface, but within that, you could teleport yourself into and stuff through stargates. My understanding is that Saturn, on the other hand, has been used by the negatives, mainly by the negative ET races, the Naboo, Gray, Siakar Alliance, and then, of course, a lot of the breakaway groups that were associated with the interplanetary corporate conglomerate have been, I guess, visited there, and as well as, of course, members from Dark Fleet, because of the fact that Saturn has always been, you could say, representing the suppressing force, keeping us in this, locked reincarnational cycle along with the moon for thousands of years. Care to elaborate?
Oh, you asking me?
Yeah. I said, you know about Saturn.
Honestly, guys, I don't have any intel to share with you right now. Sorry, but let's pull. How about we pull up another one? Let's see here. Somebody's asking about the solar flash event. What do you think about the solar flash? Are we going to have a flash where like all the light, the sun blacks out for a day or two, 3 days?
I think it's directly related to the shift in consciousness that's taking place. I think it's a two-way process. I think just as confirmed by the wing makers, I think that the first portal that's going to initiate any solar flash they're humans on planet Earth who actually have some sort of you could say, super weapon that is supposed to destroy the Animus when, the super AI makes his emergence. And so my understanding is that it's a two-way process. It's going to start with, I believe, 13 individuals that are considered the portals. When these individuals activate, they're actually going to trigger the sun, and then the sun is going to totally send a frequency that is going to transform life here as we know it, or at least catapult it and translate it from harmonic universe 1, where we currently are, into harmonic universe 2, where you have 4th-D Earth, 5th-D Earth, and 6th-D Earth. That's my understanding, which is the positive timeline.
Oh, wow. Well, I'm not totally on the fence that it's going to happen, but I do feel like we're going to go to a transition. It looks like by 2028, we're definitely seeing med beds around. And looking further into time, 2030, yeah, we'll be fully in the 5th dimension by 2035. Tartaria is going to be coming back to planet Earth. And then looking further into the future, all the SSP assets that want their memories back will get their memories back. They'll be healed. Tartaria, planet Earth, is going to be restored to a paradise planet. And then by 2060, the Galactic Federation is pulling out of this sector. So they're going to start pulling up the call for SSP assets to join what's going to become supposedly Space Force.
You're probably talking about the Positive Federation, not the one that was infiltrated.
Yeah, that's the thing. So I would say the Positive Federation, because there are groups monitoring this planet to make sure that, for instance, that we don't have a pole shift. So when you say positive, but
well, I call them the Galactic Alliance, but if you want to call them the Federation, that's fine with me.
Yeah, I just want to be careful because I know there's another channeler out there who calls it a certain thing. But so they're going to be pulling out, and then the Space Force is going to be renamed or become a new organization called the Alliance, and that's where SSP vets will be asked to join. And then going past that to 2070, 2080, we're expected. They want us to defend our planet. So, yeah, there's a lot of work to do, guys. And then we're going to go to war. We're going to take care of those Dracos, and then we got a lot of planets to liberate because.
Yes.
Planet Earth isn't just the only one that's a slave planet. So,
And by the way, we're going to be doing the liberation, guys. As we activate our dormant DNA, we're going to have access to supernatural abilities or superhuman powers. And that's what all the negative aliens are afraid of, is the day we activate our dormant DNA, which is really the ultimate organic technology, even more so powerful than artificial intelligence. Wouldn't you agree? At its fullest capacity.
Yeah, I remember years ago, James Casbolt told me this story of how he was taken to, it was a biodome that were, they had different races were fighting a reptilian, and they wanted to see which race was the most powerful fighter. So of course they had a lion being and another reptilian. They would have had an insectoid there, and so on. But ultimately it was determined that the human body, human form, was the most powerful weapon if we can be fully activated, obviously. So that's the thing. We have to activate our rainbow body to get those superhuman abilities like you see in the Matrix.
Yeah. And that's what's going to be happening when the solar flash takes place. It's going to activate pretty much our dormant genetics, which is about 96% of our genetic material. Now, there is I guess somebody wrote Max Spears, rest in peace. Max Spears, killed or OD'd or suicide?
I think he was killed. I know he had some issues with that, and there would have been a strong probability anyway. Back in 2000, and this was a 2011 actually. Yeah, I went out to California, and Max and I went to Wake and Aware, and we met up with Lorian Fenton. So she put on the first Super Soldier Summits. But had I not have done that, there would have been a chance that probably Max Spears might have done himself in, because he was already what he was going through. Like when I was out in California, he told me that he was working as like a catering service, and he was in some rich, like some house, a mansion where there was like royalty on the wall, and this guy came out and said, "Oh, that's actually, so and such I'm related to," and then he blacks out. So so he's actively being used as an asset, and he's blacking out, and he's going through these experiences. So he did self-medicate, but yeah. So I'm really grateful that we had the opportunity to do what we did back in the day, and it took a lot of work, because back in 2013, people really didn't believe in super soldiers and SSP. It took a lot of work to get where we are, and still people, like our people, don't still believe, but the whole thing is changing. But yeah, so Max Spears, what I was told by Peter the Insider, HCIO, is Max Spears was taken out by an entity, and it's just something about like some contract that he had that he didn't do. But yeah, they did find black goo coming out of him. So I think he was infected with black goo, and then when he died, it was trying to come out of his body to go in somebody else. But I don't think it was the black goo that actually took him out. But yeah, that's what I know.
Yeah, because I heard that he had a problem with substances and drinking and stuff like that. So
yeah, I know. You what? Oh my gosh, I feel like I should share this story, but I just the things that
it's rated R. Just make sure it's PG.
Okay, fine. I'll share the story. So, okay, this was the first Super Soldier Summit. I made an announcement, guys. I'm going to San Francisco or Marin County. We're going to have the first Super Soldier Summit. So this is back in 2012, and one of my listeners opened up his house for us to stay in, and so Max Spears needed a place to stay, and another guy, his name Tyler Clark, back in the day. So they needed a place to stay right before the conference, because like the people in our community, most of us don't have any money because we're dealing with trauma. We can't really hold, a lot of them can't hold jobs. So yeah. Anyway, so Max found my guy's opium medications, and that he hadn't used painkillers, and he was taking took about 40 of them over a 3-day period. And so ultimately they had to take him to the hospital to pump his stomach. And when he came back to the house, he was furious at me, because when he was in the hospital, the doctor called the house, and I had to go into his bag to find out what he was taking so he wouldn't die. So when he came back, he was furious at me for going through his bag. And that was probably the last time I couldn't talk to Max anymore after that, even though I did give him another chance, but yeah. The good news is he didn't die at the first Super Soldier Summit. And guys, could you imagine the controversy that would still be kind of over me? Like, oh, did James kill Max back? I mean, guys, yeah. So yeah, Max was dealing with his inner demons, and it is my belief he's still got a clone body out there in the breakaway, and he's still alive. But you know, he has been through a lot, and sadly, he's not with us anymore. So.
All right. Well, may he rest in peace. So, how old were you when you started retrieving your memories that you were part of these off-world programs and that you had different avatars?
Good question. I was 25, and I can share my story. It'll take a little bit, but would you like to hear the story? Or
why not?
Okay. All right.
Because it might help some of the Galactic Jedi, since according to you, James, probably everybody on this chat was part of the programs and they were blank slated. They have no clue, and to them it's just a dream. So go ahead and please share.
Okay, so let's go back here. So 2004, I was on the Yahoo chat thing, and it was a Christian teens chat, and this guy was in here, and he's telling me he has rage issues in school and so on. I'm like, whatever. Okay. 8 months later or 6 months later, he contacts me again. I don't even remember who this person was, and he tells me he nearly got thrown into juvie, and I'm like, what's going on? And then I realized, oh, it was that kid that was having problems in school. And anyway, he tells me the story of how there was somebody picking on his girlfriend, and he hit the guy, and he flew out the window out of the second story, but he has like super enhanced strength and rage issues. He also has telekinesis. And so at that time, I was reading a little bit about on the David Icke website, and the Andy Perez story was on there. I said, hey, Nate, go check out this Andy Perez story. And then one of his alters would come out and tell me that essentially he was being taken to a facility where he was put on treadmills, and there was a Dr. Gray that experimented on him. And he had implants in his head, that explosives, and that he's not really sleeping at night. He's actually working. So I recommended that he use his abilities to defend himself. So a couple weeks later, I contact him again. This time he tells me he is in a white room and his memories are being deleted, and soon he doesn't remember who he is or who I am to him. So I'm like, well, just keep using your abilities to fight back. So let's go forward here. Another month goes by. He contacts me again. He says that he activated my DNA and that I can do everything that he can do. And he said that essentially, he destroyed 2,800 worlds, everyone that was associated with it. He said he destroys the Grey's monetary system. And then he goes on and on about how that in his past life, he was Lucifer. And then in my past life, I was what he referred to as the Supremes. I was basically my higher self is one of these planetary sovereigns. So anyway, but yeah, and we were fighting with each other. I said, well, you know what? Let's just do something better this time. Let's not fight and kill each other. And so he was fine with that. And then let's see here, guys. So at that point, I was upstairs. It was late at night. This was right around this stuff. This happened. I hear a voice downstairs like, "We need your help. We need you." I'm like, "Whatever, go away." And I'm like, so at 3 o'clock in the morning, I go downstairs to close the door. It's February and it's cold, right? And so there was this green color light moving around, and I heard papers, like something moving. I was like, "Oh my gosh, just slam the door." I don't even know what that is. And then I go lay down in the sleeping bag, right? Because it's a long story. My family didn't want to, anyway, they didn't want to turn the heat on in the house. So when I woke up in the morning, I had 3 claw marks going down my shoulder. And then I had, needle marks, scoop marks, scoop mark in my ear. Then it started to happen like once or twice a week. Then it was basically every day. So it's been like that ever since. So I've got thousands of pictures of all these marks, injections. So my understanding of what happened is essentially when Nate activated my DNA, these grays are coming in here to deactivate. So I'm like naturally progressing and they're trying to suppress. So I'm getting daily treatments. But a lot of people in our community get these marks. There's probably listeners here. If you get these laser marks, cut marks, and so on, so the Greys are most likely experimenting on you too. They need a DNA for the galactic slave trade, so I do have a lot of galactic, fortunately, slaves out bodies there. But yeah, so I'm quickly finish this story, okay? The last time I heard from Nate was, again, that was about March, and he told me he was holding a power cord plugged into the wall and telecommunicating to me into the internet through that. And he said that he was in a facility and he was bleeding, and that they captured him, and this would be the last I'll hear from him. So a month or so goes by, probably 2 more months go by, and I get this, I'm getting needle marks, and then I have this paralysis where I couldn't move. And I went to try to get I couldn't get up. And so I called the poison control. They said, call 911, and they took me out to the hospital, and they couldn't figure out what's wrong with me. And they kept me there under observation for 3 weeks. It was happening again, but I didn't tell it. I just told the doctors I felt good. The medications was making me feel good. Ultimately, they left me out of the hospital, diagnosed me with psychosis NOS. So basically, they just need money to get money from the insurance companies.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was it. Now my family doesn't want to hear anything about this. My paralysis were from my own alters, because essentially when you there's something called Omega programming. Omega is where you self-destruct. If you find out that you are in these programs and you're not aware of Omega, then there's a strong possibility you could take yourself out. So I wasn't intending to take anything out. I was like, nope, you guys are not taking me out. I don't care about no paralysis. It never happened. It hadn't happened since then. But yeah, that was something back in the day. But yeah, my family didn't want to hear anything about it. Didn't really have any friends at that point. Nobody wanted to hear from some crazy person that just got out of the psych ward, right? So after that point, I realized that there wasn't anybody to help us. Nobody cared. This is 2005. No one cared. So I decided that I'm going to care. If nobody's going to help me, then I'm going to help. I'm going to do what I can to help others. So that's when I set up my Super Soldier Talk Network, and it's a long journey since then.
And you definitely have helped a lot of people. You've actually even helped me understand a lot of the things that I couldn't figure out. General things, of course, but based on my own memories and my own dreams that I've been having in the last couple of years, I think I came out of the closet regarding my involvement with off-world programs, of course, not the programs that you're familiar with, but ET Super Soldier programs. I think it was on your show where I first kind of came out in the open about that, based on the little bit of memories that I've had. Now, how many regressions have you had? I actually had one. I don't know if you know Dr. I believe her name is Dr. Misha Johnston.
Oh yeah, I've been at Misha's house. I've done regressions on Misha. Yeah, she's done a regression on me. So in that regression, I was on a spaceship, and she was there helping the hybrid children. I'm like, oh my gosh, what the heck? Some hybrid child body. I'm like, okay, very good, Misha, thank you. But yeah, that's amazing. So tell us, what did you learn, Ismael?
Oh, I learned all kinds of stuff about myself. I can't obviously share it here because it goes into great detail, but it just confirmed a lot of the information that I was already receiving via transmissions from my galactic self. What I'm going to do is actually, I'm going to invite her to come on my platform and really just share with us what she does to help recuperate and really help rehabilitate a lot of us, a lot of the people that have been part of these off-world programs and stuff, because she's also dedicating her life to helping people in terms of making them aware that they're not going crazy, that it is true, that they're not just, that it's nothing that they're making up, that this is actually things that have actually been happening and that have been going on, and they do exist. And so I'm thinking about inviting her pretty soon. I do have her email, and I think I even have her contact. So I'm going to go ahead and have her come on the show and stuff as well. But how many regressions did you have with her? Or was she the one who gave you the regressions? Because, I mean, you seem, based on your book, Lone Wolf, which was so in detail explained, a lot of the stuff, you seem to have a lot of recollection about the details. How did you get all that? like especially the interplanetary off-world groups, and those that are in the pocket realities.
Well, I've conducted 40, 50 interviews with Peter the Insider back in the day. So I was working with ACO agency, official ACO dash official whatever it is .com, but .org, I don't know. But as far as like the other details like regression work, you can go back. I have some people that if you want to reach out to some of these people, you can go to supersolartalk.com and click on the My Lab Recovery Network. So we have some people, if you feel like you can't be regressed, we have people that can channel for you. We have also some people that can do energy work to kind of try to activate those chakras or whatnot, like Sean Bond, for example, probably Jenny Lee. I think Jenny Lee's on the list too. Hi, Jenny. So yes, here, but regression work. I personally think you should just do the regression work first. And then, at that point, you can go to do some of the channeled sessions. But so I have Oksana to thank for some of those details with like conversations. But you can check out her work. Oksana Buchanan. She also has a YouTube channel, but I don't know how much longer now for censorship.
Just let the Galactic Jedis know. I am going to still be interviewing or having Laura Eisenhower on the show. Hopefully within the next week. Like I said, she came down with something. She got sick, so she couldn't make it tonight. So that's why James Rink is here, sharing his knowledge and wisdom based on his own experiences, memories, and interviews. Who else did you get to interview, James? Like besides Pete. Now, is this Pete Peterson?
Peter, the Insider.
The Insider.
Peter, I think his last name is Bergen, if I'm not mistaken. But so he works at Area 51 in Pine Gap, but he currently lives in Sydney. At least that's when the last time I was working with them. So there was a falling out between that organization. I pulled away. So that's why if you go through my profile, you're like, well, where are all the interviews? You have to go back in time. But so let's see here. So
What about Preston Nichols? Did you ever get information from him?
Yeah, so that's when I went up to New York back in 2013, I think that was. So that if you go back in time, you can do a search for, I don't know, just go on the Rumble channel, do a search for Preston Nichols. It should come up on there. Yeah, so Preston did a scan on me and he confirmed that I was a Montauk boy, but he didn't have to do that. Let's see here. What else you want to know? Interviewed. I have done interviews with Max, but we never did a one-on-one. So it was kind of an object of contention. His usage of, but I did interview. So I got Cadsbolt. I mean, who else do you want to know?
Oh yes,
I've done probably 1,000 interviews. So.
Let's see. What about William Cooper?
So I think he die like in the early 2000s. Yeah. So unfortunately, I also regret that I didn't get oh my gosh. It should come to me. Okay. It'll come to me eventually, but I see it in my head, but let me look here, guys. I've done quite a few interviews with we have Jimmy Payne. So he's kind of like the jack of all trades, sort of like that whole Forrest Gump kind of thing. So I recommend you check out some of his work, my interviews with Jimmy Payne. We have, let's see here. I've done a couple interviews with Kimberly Lusana. She's an amazing remote viewer here. I recommend her on the My Lab Recovery Network. So let's see here. Carrie Cassidy. Just so much. I don't know where to begin.
Yeah, you don't have to. I'm not trying to get you to remember everyone, but I do have a question regarding. Okay, so obviously you went to Florida, right, recently?
Okay. Yes.
And you had a bad experience with. I'm not going to mention names, but with a person that is actually promoting Enki's return, and that he's going to give us this technology that's going to restore the original blueprint of our immortality, blah blah blah, and that he's here to fix the human race, supposedly. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, I'm aware of that particular group.
Okay. How did it go? I mean, obviously they didn't receive you very well, right?
Right. So I I wanted to interview Tony Rodriguez for his new book, and
Mhm.
we had an agreement that we would do this. So my friend was going to go, and she already was going to be a vendor, so she had access to the vendor space. But I was just going to hang out around the fire pit. But honestly, it felt kind of bad. I really wanted to support Danny Henderson's event by purchasing a ticket. So I managed to get one half off, and I used people. There are a few people that still donate money to me, even after PayPal stole everything. So if you want to be one of those people that donate, I could really use some help, but it's healingsoulsurvivors.org. But anyway, so yeah, I used what little donor money I had and I purchased that ticket, and I went there. And as soon as I purchased a ticket, Danny told me I'm going to be banned. She's banning me from filming anyone.
Hmm.
I'm like, well, that was kind of a bitch move because people donated money to support that. So I'm like, okay, well, you just stole money from anyway. The point is, let's continue on here. Okay, so during the conference, I was helping out my friend who was selling crystals, and I had my books on her table. I helped her. I was helping sell crystals so she can take restroom breaks, and I was selling books. But that's no big deal. I did the same thing last year. There was only like 3 approved vendors last year, and Tony allowed me to have his table to sell my books. So this year, yeah. Apparently, Danny was very upset that I was taking advantage. She referred to my friend as a single parent mother, which was to me seemed derogatory. And yeah, she said that I was not prohibited. She wanted a certain vibration of that event. And but the thing is like, well, I was only one of 3 people the previous year. So how did my vibration change so much? So it wasn't my vibration. You know what it was, Ishmael? On the first year, I donated about 20 hours of my time. I made a documentary for her. I interviewed some of her guest speakers, and I upload the footage on my channel. And that ticket that was given to me was not given to me by Danny Henderson. Chris O'Connor gave her some tickets, and she gave me one of those tickets. Now, in return, I offered Danny Henderson a free gift. Say, hey, Danny, thank you so much. I'm going to spend my time to make you a video to promote it. So I interviewed some of the guest speakers, and that footage is on my channel. Then I took that footage and created something special for her, but she was upset that it wasn't special enough because I guess she wanted the exclusivity, but I need to get paid. Okay. So I guess she's just expecting me to just work for free, like in the secret space program where we're treated like slaves. Yeah. So anyway, but I put this documentary together for, interview and to help promote the event. But yeah, so I think she was just mad that I was posting some of the footage, or posted all the footage, I guess. But she didn't give me anything other than Chris O'Connor paying for it. So all right, now this year she banned me, and in the conference room, Brad Olson was doing a presentation. I wanted to take a picture and send it over to Brad, and security got up and told me to put my camera down, and so I just told him I'm taking a picture, and then I hear him calling somebody in, and then I put my phone down. Then I walk out of the room, and I don't go back in that room again, the conference facility, for the next 3 days. And but it turns out that he was calling in support. He reported me to security. So and the thing is, this picture that I took shows somebody else with their camera up at the same time. Mm-hmm. So Danny made an issue. Oh, somebody caught you filming. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. And so yeah, so she treated me like I don't know. Anyway, there was let's see here. The third thing is, yeah, the table. She was mad about that table. There were 5 other people at that table. No one else got complained to except for me. She complained that I was selling my books. So what is it about the secret space program? She banned Chris O'Connor. She banned Laura Eisenhower. There's something seriously wrong. And no,
it's because they are what I call the Horgen horse, the Horgen, the Trojan horse. I can't even say it. They're the infiltrators within the in disclosure. That's all I'm going to say. I've called her friend out 2 years ago when I first came into the scene. Obviously, that created a huge, it opened up a can of worms in this community where people that were seeing through her, including Jenny Lee, if Jenny Lee's in the house, and many other people were all, calling me, emailing me, Ishmael, you were so courageous, very bossy in doing so. It took a lot of courage for you to even do so in public. And so a lot of people that saw through her, that saw the change in this lady, I'm not going to mention her name, but yeah, her best friend is Danny Henderson, who, by the way, I heard was a drunk, according to Jenny Lee. But anyways, that's a different story. So, and was involved in was financed and sponsored by Oprah, by the way. Oprah's behind that little group. That's from what Jenny Lee's been saying.
How about we discuss how did her husband really die?
Yeah, that's another mysterious thing. So the whole point is that little group, and it's sad that they sucked in Michael Sala, the guy from Exopolitics. They sucked him into that, and then of course Alex Collier, who has not been channeling from the Andromedans for a while because he's been a drunk. He's been abusing alcohol.
Wait, no, even if you look, so maybe he does self-medicate, but still, I honestly, I highly respect Alex Collier, but I mean, I know you two are having a little friction, but
siding with him because we did go on a Zoom call, and we did apologize, and we did kind of you could say amend things, and that call did take place, and I didn't even do a reactionary video to what he put out that that wasn't true, that I never said these things, and he did, everything that I told, what's her name, Catherine Edwards, was true. The guy was apologizing, and he was telling me that he appreciated the work that I was doing, on this next level disclosure. And what's his name? Rob Potter, the guy who behind the Shasta conference, was there as a witness to that call. But anyways, that's a long story. The whole point is they're all siding with them, and they are the Trojan horse in the disclosure community. And their agenda is to push the idea of an alien savior, which I don't agree with, of course. I believe that everyone should do the work, and I believe that everyone is meant to go within and activate their own divinity and connect through ascension, through the process of multidimensional integration, connect with their own higher self, which is their multidimensionality. But that's my opinion, But anyways, I just want to throw that out there because I know that they gave you trouble. They hassled you, and they kind of didn't welcome you, and treated you like a slave.
Yeah, exactly. And I was really disappointed to hear what Chris O'Connor told me, essentially that Elena Danaan was using AI artwork that doesn't really represent the beings that she's in communication with. So he expressed his complaint to Danny, and she responded by banning him. And then, of course, Laura Eisenhower was on a show where people were complaining about Elena, but it's like this community is afraid of saying anything about Elena. And I don't do it because, first of all, Ishmael, my sources are telling me the information that Elena is sharing is accurate. The problem is just that just because the information is accurate, does that mean this Thorhan character is really a good guy? Or, I mean, certainly they're giving some good intel, but I put to question a lot of that because, but I want to be careful here because
Enki's posting as Thorhan. It's Enki behind her. Okay.
Well, my opinion about that, if they're Enki or Enlil, they're really not good to either way. Because either way, which side, those Anunnaki are for themselves, in my opinion, not for humanity. But anyway.
And in a lot of ways they were just like men, they had their own faults. I'm not saying totally that Enlil was this righteous guy, but again, he did side with the Guardian Alliance when Enki decided to, side with the Draco Gray Siakar Alliance. And so there was a war. There is record that there was conflicts among the Anunnaki for that very reason. But anyways, in the end, the truth will come out. In the end, the truth will come out.
So it seems like, Enlil, if he aligned with the Alliance, so what would happen is, so the Alliance was protecting maybe this whole sector with that agreement. So, but then Enki was upset, so he wanted to take over everything. So was Enlil the first one in charge, and then So and
Yes, exactly. Enlil was the guardian. He was also known as Jupiter, and he was in charge of the Jupiter community. His mother was the Queen of Alcyone. Yeah,
I can see that happening. Yeah. So
and they inverted the tablets, and even Sakurai Sitchin went according to the inverted version, making him look like the bad guy. So now we have people like Billy Carson and all these other people that are huge that are going with that narrative that was again distorted by Enki's son Marduk, who was known as Belial of Babylon. Belial, yeah.
But well, so yeah, I heard a rumor that Billy Carson was going to run for president in 2028. So,
Really?
has anyone heard that rumor? Oh, we'll find out soon enough. Billy, run for president. Come on. Anyway, so what else, Ismael? We're at 2-hour 15-minute mark. What do you want to do?
Actually, let's end this. If you want to take one last question before we end, go ahead. If not, we could just end it. And James, I am so grateful that you were able to fill in for Laura Eisenhower. And you know what? I called you 50 minutes before going on live. I called James 50 minutes.
I just got off another interview with John Whitberg. We went 2 hours, and so yeah, it's all good. I'm
awesome.
Keep going.
Well, I appreciate everything that you shared. And hey, listen, I'm going to go ahead and send you that 5-minute clip, or just post it on my media as well. All right, and you can just pull it from there.
Thank you, Ismael. Appreciate it.
You're welcome, James. All right, so at this point, I guess this is where I'm going to say, Galactic Jedis, thank you so much for being here. May the God Force be with you guys. And James, we will talk later, my brother. Talk to you soon.
Awesome. And wait, don't go yet. Hold on. James Rink, supersolartalk.com. Please, guys, purchase your tickets to come here see me speak in Los Angeles. I'm going to make that shout out. It's David Saeed's event. It's going to be in April. I'm going to be out there. Ismael, are you going to be there at that event?
In April? I thought it was in March.
No, it's got to be in April.
Wait, hold on. I have to check the schedule.
It's not March. I mean, I haven't even bought a plane ticket yet. I'm hoping if it's in March, I'm a little nervous. So yeah, it's like April 11th. Yeah, we got to get ready for that. So yeah, so guys, go purchase your ticket, supersolartalk.com. Right at the top, there's like a link there to go buy a ticket, so you can come hear us speak. And yeah.
It's from the 11th of April to the 14th. You're right. So I'm actually going to be there as well. Just to let everybody know, you guys can come watch me and James speak. And
I'll speak on either the planetary corporations or what is a super soldier. So usually the super soldier one gets more interest. But anyway,
all right,
what you got here? Oh, you got some money. Yay! You certainly deserve it, Ismael.
Thank you. Yeah, actually, I've been working 12 hours a day to try to republish my very first book, where I break down the entire history of the Cabal and the White Hats, and I actually trace it all back to after the flood, 6,000 years ago. A lot of information, but anyways, this is a question from Super Sticker. Oh, it's called Super Sticker. Pure character dancing under a rain of confetti and taking his hat off to you. Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. I appreciate
the question. So Ismael, thank you so much, Leandra. Somebody was asking me if I can do regression, past life regression. I'm pretty good at it too. So I had one lady. It was actually a friend's son was dating this girl that had heart issues, and we did a regression, and she started speaking Russian. She was a Russian princess, and I think she had hemophilia or something like that, or heart problems. So anyway, yeah. Oh, you got nice. That was
Super good from Galactic Rose. Thanks so much, sister. Appreciate you. Shout out to Galactic Rose out there, is in the house, and her question or mark is lemon character and baby lemon jumping in the air with fire. Okay, so that's another compliment, not a question. Thank you so much. I appreciate that, sister.
All right. And don't forget to get yourself a meditation cube to help you relax. You can put that on your lap and meditate 11 to 30 minutes a day. It has pyramids inside that enhance chi energy, and there's quartz crystals. The ones I have for sale right now, the cheaper ones anyway, have the crystal skulls in them, so you can access that crystal skull network. Someone's asking, who is D. Henderson? So Honestly, Ishmael, do we know she was like what, one of those psychics, that blindfolded psychics where they would go into? Do you know her history, who she was before she showed up on the scene?
From according to Jenny Lee, she was actually groomed by the cabal. Like I said, they are the Trojan horse in our community, trying to divert from the inner awakening. Um, so I don't really know much details about that, but according to Jenny Lee, she perhaps MUR. Well, she didn't mention this, but since you mentioned it, I assume that she MURDEERD her husband, or KILL her husband, ED, I guess, in order to be with a woman, and she also has a problem with alcohol. I guess she drinks a lot too. That's why when you see her on the live, she slurs a lot. But she's actually Elena Danon's best friend. For those that don't know who she is, and according to Jenny Lee, she is financed by Oprah Winfrey, and so there is some sort of connections there with the pedophilia. Oops, I shouldn't say that here. Darn it.
Oops. You might have to go back and edit that out.
Man. All right. So,
Whoop.
thank you so much for the super chat. Who was this? Can you read the person?
MJS.
Oh, MJF. Awesome. Thank you so much for being here. Video game controller dances goofily under the word woot. Awesome. Well, that's who this Henderson lady is. That's Elena Danon's best friend.
Well,
And
those two are living together apparently, right? Back and forth.
That's what I heard.
So she moved her event to Denver, and I think I was talking to Jenny about this. The location there and in Denver isn't really that great of a spot. I think it too far from the airport. Does anybody know? But honestly, I like to say I like to see disclosure, right? But the way that it's happening just doesn't seem really a disclosure conference the way people are being treated. So that's my opinion. I'm just stating what I think is the case. I'm not trying to bash Danny Henderson because it was kind of nice. I didn't say anything bad about her, and she didn't say anything bad about me. So I guess now probably I'll create an email address where people send the hate messages. But it is what it is, guys. So.
All right, cool. So according to my understanding is that Elena has been taken over by Enki, who is posing as that Hans Thor guy, whatever his name is. And Thorhan, that's his name, posing as him. And that Enki is the right-hand man of the AI god. So that's why I call him the Trojan horse. But anyways, a lot of people reached out to me after I exposed her 2 years ago. A lot of people reached out to me and actually complimented me and told me that I had a lot of courage for doing so, because I guess she's done a lot of people wrong, and they're really more for the money than anything else, but it's also the infiltration. So they're making money in the process, of course.
Well, since I've already cracked the egg, I might as well make the omelet. So let's go ahead. I'll tell you some more. Okay. All right. So, of course, Elena Danon says that nobody meets her in astral, but that's not what through regression remote viewing we see. It looks like she's working with a group, a council of people. They look humanoid, Nordic, but the Thorhan character didn't seem like a very good one, not a very positive line one. But there were some positive people in that council, and we tried to reach out to communicate with this person, and they said that they were very disappointed at Elena Danon because she is she's in a lot of fear right now, and she's in so much fear that it's allowing dark entities to overtake her. So she's got, and I didn't even know this. I talked to my friend and said, yes, she's got digestion issues where it's going right there in her stomach. And and Danny Henderson is leading her on almost like a handler type behavior. Mm-hmm. So this Nordic, whatever being was message to Elena is that wake up, stop being, and he actually said, why are you being so stupid? Why are you allowing Danny to control you? You're way more smarter than this. And so yeah, and my people are telling me that her information is accurate. So that's, yeah, I guess I'm endorsing at least some of it. Anyway.
Well, all right. One last thing, a shout out to Lisa Smith. Thank you so much for being here and for the super chat, sister. And I think that's it. I think we've gone over 2 hours and 24 minutes. That's a long time.
Oh, you know what? I might have one more thing I could show you. Let's see here. Go on. Okay, hold on, guys. I'm gonna share this, and it's a drawing. My friend did this drawing. She remote viewed Danny Henderson, and this is what we see, guys. We're gonna pull this up, and so hopefully Danny can watch this and she can see too. So yeah, we see basically she is part of these. Oh, go ahead and add it. Go ahead and add it. The picture.
Oh, yes.
So people can see. So this is a drawing. So we did a body scan. So she's got the loss of a child. We picked up, there's a lot of torture and trauma. So it looks like she was part of these MyLab experiences. She was on a ship, but they traumatized and tortured so much that she's got a lot of, chest pain, anxiety, digestion issues. So, we can go ahead and let's take this out. So yeah, we can sit here and complain, but it looks like she's also a victim too. But ultimately, the goal is what are we going to do about it? Are we going to try to find ways to work together to heal the community, or yeah? So that's why I shared it. It's not to attack her, but just to let you know that she's also a victim in all this. Okay, let me explain things here. Disclosure is coming, guys. So we have a group of speakers, presenters that are presented a certain way. So it looks like the negative Orion groups are utilizing her as a platform to put their people in front of everyone first. So that's why the SSP veterans have to go, because we don't follow that narrative where basically their narrative is saying that, oh, Dark Fleet's gone, they've kicked out and the system. That's just not true. It's not the case. There's a lot more work to do.
So you basically are confirming that the negative Orion group is using Elena Denon.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. All right, guys. There you go, from James Rink's mouth, not mine. Well, again, I just went ahead with my intuition when I was on a live. I don't even know what live I was. It was 2 years ago when I first came to the scene. And I guess someone in the audience asked me my opinion on Elena. And what I should have said was she's been compromised. Her body was taken over, but instead I said she was murdered. It was just, I couldn't really express it with the right words. So I just said that. But what I meant to say was she was taken over, and you just pretty much confirmed. But again, like you said, she was a victim.
Yeah. So somebody has asked how you can make donations. Please go to healingsoulsurvivors.org. And it'd be nice if you could just sign up for like a $5 or $10 a month thing, because those funds go a great way, because we don't get paid when we travel. I use my own money, what little donations we get to travel. So anyway, yeah. So
awesome, man. And also, don't forget to if you guys haven't had a chance to read Lone Wolf, go ahead and order it from his website, right? Can you give your website for the book?
Neological Tech. So NEOLOGICALTECH, Neological. So and that's where you can also get a meditation cube. But the book's over 400 pages now. And you'll learn all about the planetary corporations, about the types of super soldiers. You're going to find out, some of my own experiences. And I go into the Hobie Baker material. The reason why my last name is Rink.
And a lot of dialogue with these other super soldiers, which I found fascinating.
Oh, yeah.
All right, guys. Well, I think that's it, James. Is there anything else you want to talk about before we end?
Let's go. This is long enough.
All right, James. Thank you so much. And we will talk soon, brother. May the God force be with everyone, always.
And live long and prosper.
That's correct. I second that. All right. Have a good one, guys. We'll see you, James.